Tolstoy, do you have a moment?
Yeah, sure. I got a minute.
Tolstoy, Dark Sackboy and I are growing concerned at the level of videos you seem to be producing lately. There aren't that many of them. Why aren't you doing videos, Tolstoy?
You know, I don't know, guys. There's been things I've been trying to focus on in my life. You know, there's a lot going on, and I'm just trying to build something else for myself, you know what I mean?
Tolstoy, nothing is more important than you making YouTube videos. We require them. Your meta essence sustains us in this world.
Tolstoy, what could be more important in your life than making YouTube videos?
Well, I mean, you know, it doesn't even matter what I say, really. Talking to you guys is like talking to, you know, a brick wall. It's just, you know what I mean? You're like the opposite of yes men. It's like, you know, you have this weird agenda and you just want to keep plugging it. I don't even really understand what you guys are. But no matter what I tell you, Dark Sackboy is just going to come up with some weird thing, some cryptic thing he's going to say, you know, like, Tolstoy, you have to enter the dark realm, or some shit. I don't really do a good Dark Sackboy, so.
Tolstoy, your illusions of contentment are meaningless. One day soon you will be plunged back into the darkness, into the fire, and you will find us, and we will lead you to your center again. Until then, look to us no longer.
Actually, no, I was really never looking to you guys. You just sort of showed up to give me some information I didn't even really need. Sackboys? Where'd you guys go? I don't know. Alright, well, let's get down to it. For your sick reviewing pleasure, I will bring you a review that I thought about doing for a long time, but didn't do it for reasons that we will probably cover. A mini pistol crossbow. This is an interesting weapon among... Oh, great. Bows are in a certain shed. That's weird. This is an interesting weapon, topic to cover. I know that among a lot of shooters, people who marksmen, people who like to practice, you know, the alternative sport of lining up a shot, of accuracy, that there is a lot of people who prefer bows. Not only the actual, you know, ancient raw regular bow, but like compound crossbows, you know, of all different types, builds, makes, styles. And one of the things that I know is that a lot of times it's an interesting alternative to firearms because you can use them on your own property in states like Maryland, where I cannot go out with my rifle and, you know, shoot a bunch of stuff, even in the woods. It's illegal to do in Maryland. It is actually legal on your property to use a crossbow, just like it is for a CO2 pistol, airsoft. That's why I like kind of these alternative things. And I had thought about a crossbow for a while, but let's, I mean, be real. They're very expensive. I mean, like $300-400 for a good compound crossbow. They're very powerful weapons. I mean, and that's what they are. Let's not be, I mean, you can use them obviously for sport, but they are also, can do a lot of damage. People can use them for hunting. And anything that can be used for hunting can alternatively be used as a weapon. And that means that they need to be treated with responsibility, with care. So I know that they had made these pistol crossbows. I don't know where I first saw one. I guess possibly in an anime, movie, video game, something like that, you know. The idea comes to mind that you can make a miniature pistol crossbow. They measure them in weight. You say it's a 70-pound bow, that's what this is, which is pretty much the bottom end. I've seen 60-pound. They can make up to, I think, 120-pound. I don't think that they can't not make these well, but there was a reason for the longest time that I did not buy into these, and it's because they seem really cheap. This one was $30. I saw one for as low as $19.99, and I've seen these gun shows, internet, Amazon, eBay, and I've also seen them where I got mine, and you may have these in your mall, I don't know. They're like these stores run by Asians, and that's not being racist. They could be Chinese or Japanese or Korean or Laotian, I really don't know, or Samoan, fuck if I know. But there are always these, like, you know, Asian families, and maybe they just have good connections to import from China or Thailand or something like that. But they can get a whole bunch of, like, cheap, crappy wall hanger, M-Tech jackknives, and, you know, not brass knuckles, but, yeah, I mean, just random assortments of C3s in all form, not just like C3 knives, cheap, charming Chinese knockoffs, you know, but C3 swords, C3 clubs, C3 everything. And so most of the time I steer clear of those. I don't know who they're catering to. It's so bizarre because it's like I don't think. Hopefully, unfortunately, though, there are a lot of stupid people. Hopefully, the kind of people who, you know, when you're old enough to buy that kind of stuff when you're 18, you should hopefully understand that, like, a $7 knife is not going to hold up, you know, that lock's going to break, man, and you might hurt yourself. You know, don't swing that $20 wall-hanging sword. Don't do it. Then again, I did do it when I was, like, 18, so... and then the video evidence is on the internet. Right. But, yeah, I don't know who they're catering to. Maybe it's like 16-year-old kids who don't know any better, and their parents are stupid enough to buy the stuff for them. I'm taking a risk. I didn't even want to do this video. In fact, I even asked multiple. I was at the gun show, and this guy was like, "Well, come get your mini crossbows and and I just said, "Yeah, what are the chances that these things, the bow will snap or come back on me, or the bolt won't come out right, or like, you know, go off course?" And he's like, "Oh, 0 chance." And I gave him the troll face. Not even the troll face. Though. What are you, retarded? That. Yeah, I was even once in a Toys R Us once, so that's a surprise. Tolstoy's in a toy store, and a couple of the people, maybe they thought that me and my friend were like stealing. They walked up and like, "Can we help you?" And I was like, no, I'm an adult in a toy store dressed like a psychopath. Do you think you can help me? You know? Oh, that almost sounds like the old Tolstoy. Maybe he's coming back. Probably not. No, I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm gonna die. Yes. So I'd seen a lot of these. I've never read a good review of them. I know that they make a few good brands over in England. I've heard of the Vulcan. This has, like, no name, by the way. There's no, like, brand to call this. I mean, they might be on the box, maybe. And I'll talk about the box in a second. But, it's not, I don't, I've heard, that Vulcans are okay. That's a weird thing. There's a lot of cool stuff that's only available in England. Like, the Dan Wesson 8-inch revolver. I mean, you can get that more over in England, or like there's like pneumatic pump guns that you can only order from England and they won't ship to America. And I'm just like, hey, no, we're Americans. Don't tell us no. So yeah, but we'll go over the anatomy of this in a little while in anatomy class, and I'll say the word clitoris and everyone will giggle, because that's health class for you. Here's the box that it came in. I've already opened up and everything, and this just doesn't install a lot of faith in you, just as meh. It did not come assembled. I had to assemble it myself, and we'll talk about that in a second. It came, I think, originally with 4 of these. It came with an Allen wrench, which I refer to as an Allen Alder wrench. That's it, my friends. It came with 4 of these, like, plastic bolts, which, ironically, some of the best advice on the internet was they said that for all of these guns, a lot of the bolts, you know, you would find these, I think, a lot at these cheap Chinese stores in your local malls. You'll find these on the internet that fit these kind of little mini pistol bows. These bolts, don't buy the aluminums, they say. Buy the plastics. I have no idea why. These things feel up. It warps. The tips are pretty fucking sharp, and they're made of metal. And there's no knock at the back. Ooh, shit. Shoryuken! So, yeah, I've lost 2 of these already. That's another thing. There's a downside, and I could save this for the end to talk about, but I'll just talk about it now. Unlike airsoft, firearms, CO2 pistols, throwing knives, well, throwing knives are a little bit like this, but this stuff is not exhaustible ammunition. It's reusable. Now, some people think it's a great thing, but if you're firing where you're supposed to be firing, which is not on the sidewalk, it's somewhere out in a secluded area where we're not going to hurt anybody, the potential to possibly lose this stuff is high. Very high. So I've already lost 2 bolts, and I've got to be careful with these, with the ones that I've got. So, anyway, yep. That was the box that it came in. Here's the outer shell of the box. And it just says, Pistol Crossbow. CF-106. Oh, boy. And here's the thing that really ticks me off. The brand name is H-O-U-S... I'm going to pronounce this in my best Chinese accent. Hao Shui. Probably, and the little mascot there is like a fucking rat or some shit. That doesn't instill me with a lot of faith, guys. Honestly, it doesn't make me think that like your quality insurance is all that great. If you look on the box, it has all these really terrible points that really they should have included it. If you put English on the box, it's going to make us afraid of you. Excellent performance, pinpoint accuracy, wonderful. It's wonderful. What is this, like, you know, some woman I'm going to marry or some shit? Portable. Features, die-cast gun body all over. Suspension steel limb. I have no idea what that is. Security device? I think they mean like a safety. I have never actually tried to use the safety. I do believe that this is the safety. Right here, this thing. I don't know what that's for. I honestly don't understand some of the mechanics of that. And we'll talk about that later. Oh my god, I'm realizing that the bowstring on the end is fraying. Piece of crap. Anyway, I can read the rest of that. On the back, there are these instructions on how to assemble it. I had to have my brother help me put it together, because it's almost like you have to have someone kind of pull back the bow a little bit to get that string that tight on there. It doesn't come with that string on there, let me tell you. Yeah, and the assembly only takes like 5 minutes, so it's no big deal. The sights. It comes with a target. I'm not going to use your target. I don't know, maybe I will. The sights are fucked. I have not been able to adjust them. This thing shoots almost impossibly low or off or something. And the sights, I see that there are knobs here and here for adjusting, but if you attempt to turn them, you're just like warping or bending this little like weak chunk of metal and plastic to the point where it looks like it's gonna break. You know what I mean? Like if I try to adjust it, I'm trying to adjust it to the side because the little point here, the little knife in the front, it's off like a lot, and I'm trying to like turn this knob right here, and I see that this is warping that way, and I'm like, well then leave it alone. I don't want to break it. I mean, this thing's pretty. The trigger is also really messed up. The trigger mechanism is that. I know you can do that. I guess that's what's supposed to stop it from pulling. I don't know if you pull back or pull forward or left or right. I don't even want to fuck with that back thing. So much on this I do not want to fuck with. Oh, is that the safety? Supposedly, I guess if you push it forward enough, it's stopping this trigger from wanting to pull back, and then I guess if you pull back enough, yeah. And then the trigger tends to get stuck like that. Everything about this is just screaming cheapy Chinese. Sorry. I just think if it was made in America, we would have done a better job. No, I'm not racist. I'm just pointing out a fact. I won't do it now because it is not good to keep the bow tense. In fact, I'm worried because that fraying wasn't there when I first put that on there. I don't know when that's been happening, if it's just been hanging up on my wall, if it's just been collecting, if that's like maybe dust. No, those are threads. This thing's gonna snap soon. Why am I doing this? This is such a Widowmaker review. You use this to draw back the bow, and then you place your bolt in there, and then you fire, and hopefully, you don't fuck it up. The first time that I was firing, I pulled all the way back, and then I kept this thing in the back position. And I tried to fire, and the bolt went like, it fell, it kind of slid out, and I was like, oh, this thing's just a toy. Well, at least it's not that powerful. I was afraid that perhaps I could have hurt myself. At least now I know the bow won't actually do any real damage. Then I realized, because I'm such a right-brain retard, I'm like, oh, mechanics are mechanical, that you're supposed to push this back up to this position, from there all the way to there, and then fire. And when the bow is not dragging this piece of metal, this thing flew all the way out, went through the shoebox target I was aiming at, and into the small brick siding, or concrete siding, and stuck in there. I, lost the bolt, because I, yanked it out, and then I had to take a field knife and dig out the tip, and then kind of glue, or, kind of fix that back in there, and then I lost the bolt anyway, shooting at a tree. So, really isn't much else to this review, but do some test shots. I could go over but I really don't really know, and besides which, these things, I don't know if these really aren't probably universal. I've seen several different types for several different price ranges, all the way up to $60. They're all probably shit. But, going over the anatomy really isn't that important in my reviews. I don't really understand all of the, I'm not very mechanical. I at least with this, if this was like disassembling my gun, something I'm very familiar with, I guess that means I should have just done some research beforehand, but meh. Wouldn't be a Tolstoy video if that was the case. Alright, let's have at it. Doing this in a really neglected area of my yard. Far away from any neighbor kids who could possibly be, well, always want to practice safe shooting. Got a fence right there that's my backstop. Just, because it's not a CO2 pistol, I don't know, it's slightly more, whatever. Got my hunting hat right here. Finally found a decent use for that. I'm so clever. That's the board that I usually practice throwing knives at. As you can see, it's pretty well used, and it's quite a large target, so it won't be showing off any great, marksman skill on mine. But this thing is pretty inaccurate. The sights on it aren't really right. I'm kind of like shooting from the hip when I use this. So, let's just see if I can actually make the hit, and hopefully I won't lose the bolt. Well, probably will. So, let's see what we can do. Okay, first 2 times that I actually shot this into this board, it actually bounced off. But as you can see, maybe right here, when I hit a weaker part of the board, it actually penetrated straight through. It's really stuck in there. So, just gotta go ahead and, there you go. The bolt is actually still very sharp up top, almost no dulling. And there was about a ½ inch of penetration in there. So, you know what? Let's reset this and try to go for an accuracy shot this time. Let me just... Okay, so I've quickly gone and drawn up a bullseye. It is incredibly unprofessional. You'd think by now I'd just learn how to plan ahead and buy one from a hunting store, from a sports store, but meh. Barely getting paid for my time here, so just accept it. Okay, I'm obviously going to be aiming for center mass. I'm going to see if I can hit something that's broader than the side of a barn. So let's give it a shot. It was about from 15, 20 feet away. It bounced off and went somewhere that only the camera could see. Alright, I have one last shot. I'll go for the shot again, and if I lose it, you can actually buy 20 packs of these, so fuck it. Down near the bolt. Lovely. Having more luck finding these than my throwing knives. Okay, well, I just noticed right here, it hit and then bounced off. There's some damage there. This was about from 15 feet away that I cannot manage to get any penetration or make that shot pretty accurately. I'm aiming very high. I'm putting this poke right here to about right here where I'm hanging it, knowing that it will kind of fly downward. And then for some reason it's going off to the left. Right. You know what? Because I don't like leaving any of my enemies alive. Alright. From a distance of maybe about 50 feet away, one of these shots kind of went off. We have 2 center mass strikes right here. And to quote a really gay old semi-rock star, pop star, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay, well apparently it's like 1,000 degrees. That's not a joke, it's a literal 1,000 degrees. Everyone in Texas is now burning alive. It's hot. No, global warming's not happening. This is okay, the globe's not getting hotter. Yeah, it is. Man, my hair must look like shit now. But, all for the sake of science, all for the sake of review. So right, we went out and successfully tested this. The durability isn't as bad as some of the reviews on Amazon might lead you to believe, but it's not as good as... Well, no one's trying to lead you to believe it's good. You know if you buy one of these, you're pretty much getting crap. I mean, you should recognize that it's basically a kid's toy. It's not a real bow. I did get a little bit of penetration with it. For the most part, they kept bouncing off the board. If you want to shoot a cardboard, Absolutely. It might go through aluminum cans. Definitely will go through jugs. And I proved that in the opening to my last review. Looks really cool. There's that. If you're buying for the cool factor, which is pretty much what influences like 80% of my buys, then yeah, I'd say go for it. But then again, part of the cool factor is proving you can use it. The sights are fucking terrible. I don't think I could ever fix them. Maybe if you knew what you were, doing with one of these. I've heard some different advice from different people saying, put some glue on the bow. I'm worried as to why this end is not fraying, but this end is. Maybe there's like more stress somehow on this end. Somehow. It holds together alright. I try to pull it back as quickly as I can to get it ready and then shoot as quickly as I can. The less time it spends in that really tense position, probably the better. Unlike a real crossbow, which I imagine could probably stay like that. Perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a universal rule of crossbows or bows. Don't keep them taut like that. So yeah. Really looks cool. It's fun to shoot if you can hit anything, or if you're shooting at the right target, or if you can fix the sights. So it really all depends on your level of skill. If you're not a very good shooter, or you just want some shit to work, and you're willing to pay more, firearms, CO2 pistol, real crossbow, throwing knives, basketball, if you want to shoot some hoops and not some targets, which I don't. Then yeah, I'd say it's an alright buy for $30. I mean, I got what I paid for. And for the most part, it's just to add to my weapons collection. I've always wanted to try this. It's a kind of matter of me always wanting to try it. Like, a lot of people have never, like, had a sword, like a real sword in their hands, and cut through, like, a vegetable, or, like a melon. I have. A lot of people haven't, like, shot a gun. I have. So that was so weak. What was that? Like, the old Tolstoy was like, and I'm like, okay. So, yeah, for me it's about the experience. It's a really cool piece of equipment to try out. You know what I mean? It's like some people have always wanted to race a Maserati, and there's actually a place in Vegas now where you can go and race. You can rent to race these really, really fast, cool-looking sports cars. You can race an Aston Martin if you got the money, honey, and it's not as expensive as buying and racing a real Aston Martin, which we all can't be James Bond. You know what's fucked up? If James Bond was an agent of the government, why would MI6 buy him all these nice cars? A, it would stick out more. Like, I wonder who's the spy here. The one driving the Aston Martin. And B, if they're government, wouldn't you think they would skimp on that? Do you see, like, FBI rolling around and, I mean, it's okay. FBI gets, like, what, Lincoln Town Car? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they get. So, anyway, this was my half-hearted attempt at a review. Glad I could get something on film. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you when I see you.